Alright, Internet. Hopefully this thing works out for you. I turned my game volume down a little bit because it's loud for me. And I don't want it to be too loud for you. Last time, we finished Vermeer, and you know who got left behind. And I mumbled about Krogans, and the time before that I ranted about Solarians. So, I made some notes. More notes than I did. You can hear my paper. More notes than I did when I had my talk about the Solarians. Because this time I'm going to talk about Turians. First, we're going to talk to Joker, because he's always funny.
Commander, I know it couldn't have been easy for you down there. Making the call between Alenko and Williams must have been... I'm sorry, ma'am. I just don't know if I could have done it.
That's why I'm in charge. Yeah, Shepard and Lydia, neither of those would be that kind of heartless.
Yeah, there is no right choice for something like that. I just hope I never have to go through it again.
No, I'm not blaming you, Commander. I mean, it's hard, you know?
Saren's still out there, Joker. Hold it together. We need you.
Don't worry, I won't let you down. I want to be there when you make that son of a bitch pay.
The way his lips moved while he was talking there, that was a little odd. You could tell the age of the game from that bit of animation. And how, right, well, one of the big Mass Effect things is the N7 program that Shepard was a part of, and led to their special forces and being eligible to become a Spectre and whatnot. So I want to point out this N3 on the back of his chair. So, oh, look, there's one over there too, on that chair. Does that mean there's, N4s and 5s and 6s and 2s? Some poor boot in basic is an N1? I don't know how all that works out. Alright, let's see what we're doing next. Vermeer is done. Armstrong Nebula. Geth stuff. Alright. Sounds like a plan. Speaking of Geth, I said I was going to talk about Turians. After I get out of Vermeer here. The Turians are a big part of the game. They're what I think of as one of the big three. So you've got the humans, the Asari, and the Turians, and those are the three most prevalent races in the game. I know the Solarians and the Krogan are right up there too, and then you've got all the lesser stuff, the Elcor, the Hanar, the Vorcha, the Batarians, the Volus, and so on. I know there's another one. I know what they look like, I just can't remember the name offhand, and I don't want to waste any more time than I already have. Because we're supposed to be going to the Armstrong Nebula, which is right next door.
Patching it through.
Normandy, Admiral Hackett here. We're getting reports of a marked increase in Geth activity in the Skillian Verge. Surveillance drones have identified Geth outposts on 4 different planets in the Armstrong cluster. We need someone to take them out.
We have any idea what they're after?
Hard to say. They may be just gathering intel on us. Or maybe they're setting up staging grounds for hit-and-run attacks on human colonies.
Well,
It could be the first wave of an invasion.
either way.
Let's hope not. We need someone to investigate this, Shepard. Finding Saren is still your top priority, but you've got experience fighting the Geth. You're the logical choice to take out these outposts. We're transmitting all the locations of known Geth outposts in the Armstrong cluster to the Normandy now. Admiral Hackett out.
Is it just me? Or does it feel like he talks really slow? Alright. So let's go there. While this is loading, I'm going to continue ranting about the Turians. Just just kind of a general description, because I know I talked a lot about Solarian biology and, being amphibians and such. Turians have some interesting biology of their own. They are not either mammalian like humans or amphibious like Solarians. They're avian, of all things. The Turians are birds. They don't have feathers, but think of more, older birds. Someone compared them. The Turians are the missing link between dinosaurs and birds, and that's why they have claws and teeth, and they're just horrible spiky monsters. Because dinosaurs were horrible spiky monsters that eventually became birds, right?
And had feathers.
I am not willing to acknowledge that dinosaurs had feathers. I'm not going to permit my childhood to be broken that way. So I'll bring Garrus with us, since I'm talking about Turians, and we're killing Geth, and I'm already at tech, and we'll bring Tolly, and we'll just go full tech overboard to kill us some Geth. As I mentioned, they have little pointy needle teeth and talons, claws on both hands and feet. So, don't ever get in a fight, like a hand-to-hand fight, with a Turian. And, I mean, they're almost all soldiers anyway, so don't get in a fight with a Turian, period. You're gonna have a bad time. They're tall. The average Turian is well over 6 feet. 6'2" is probably normal for a Turian. Up to 6'6". And, they've got kind of long, spindly arms and legs, which, those the skinny legs, skinny limbs like that, has low momentum. Or not low momentum, low inertia. So they can accelerate and change direction quickly. Turians are fast, which is another reason why you don't want to fight a Turian, because they're tall, fast, toothy, clawed, terrible, spiky monsters. Alright, radar says, or not the radar, whatever this motion sensor is, says bad things are this way. Away from my big cannon. Another interesting thing about Turians, they have metal in their skin. They have a carapace, a shell, almost like a beetle. It's not quite that hard and inflexible. It is a little more leathery, but it has trace elements of metal. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm not even sure if it is a real metal. According to the Mass Effect Wiki, it is something called thulium. 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 And that is because their home planet has a weak magnetosphere.
Securing point.
And so this metal in their skin is a natural... they evolved that naturally so that they can reflect solar radiation, and this makes them much less susceptible to long-term exposure to low-dose radiation. They're less likely to get chronic radiation poisoning as opposed to acute radiation poisoning, which is still a problem for anyone and anything. You put something in a microwave, it's going to die. Which leads me to a whole other interesting train of thought about Turians and Turian evolution and their homeworld. Because, if their homeworld has this weak magnetosphere and can't adequately build a plasma shield around it to repel solar radiation. How would that have affected, not only the evolution of the planet, but the biological evolution of the planet, because they have metal in their skin. That's kind of gnarly, because they're terrible spiky monsters. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, we need a Turian power metal band. I mean, they literally have metal in their skin. What's more metal than that? A bunch of tall dudes that don't even have to wear spiky leather because their skin is spiky. Ah! Snipers. So, not only would that affect the biological evolution of things, such as Turians and other local wildlife having resilience in one form or another to radiation, cancer, mutation, etc. A colossus. But I also feel like this would play a serious role in their technological evolution. After all, if they have a weak magnetosphere around their planet, how's that going to affect the way magnets work? Do they have natural magnets? Would compasses work? If the metal core of their home planet is small or diluted or weak, something of that nature, and that's why it doesn't have a I'm going to go to this thing down here. So it doesn't have a strong magnetic field. So if it's weak enough that, a compass doesn't work, if they can't point to the Turian equivalent of north, if that kind of rudimentary technology doesn't work, they'd have no reason to develop it. So how would they ever come to any other technological advances, conclusions? Supposedly, Turian society is 15,000 years old. And depending on what you call advanced society, comparing to, a human's advanced society, that's pretty old. And, that means they would have had, that much more time for this technological evolution, advancement. And I'll mention a little bit later when I get to the Relay 314 incident, as the Turians call it, or the First Contact War, as the humans call it. For being 15,000 years old, they're technologically roughly equivalent to humans. So, that obviously means, it took them a long time longer than humans to get from, sticks and stones to spaceships with cannons. So that's an interesting train of thought that could go down a very deep rabbit hole. I've got enough experience to level up. I'm surprised Tully didn't say anything about killing Geth. I am pushing the wrong buttons to get back into stuff. I know I said that Turians are avian. They're somewhere between birds and dinosaurs. But they don't lay eggs. They're still viviparous. They give birth to live young, which is an odd thing, but just about everything about Turians is kind of odd. I mean, after all, they are alien. One of the few similarities is they have roughly the same average lifespan as a human. An 80-year-old Turian is an old Turian, just like an 80-year-old human is an old human. At least outwardly, there is not a whole lot of physical difference in appearance between male and female Turians. You know, there's a much broader physical, visual difference between male and female humans than there is between male and female Turians. So that was kind of odd. They have excellent vision. Their eyesight's better than the average humans, depending on which context slash bit of lore you believe. It could be magnitudes better. An artifact. I must recover it. Because side quests. Look, a Turian insignia. I planned that. So, excellent eyesight. You know, the predatory eyesight is part of their prehistoric. You know, they are predators. They have claws on their hands and feet. They have talons. They have pointy, needly teeth. They are technically omnivores, but they primarily eat meat. Alright, that was an artifact to find. One more thing and we can get off this planet. So, since I'm talking about diet, Turians and Quarians are the only two races in the Mass Effect universe that are based off of the dextroamino acid proteins instead of the regular proteins. I forget the technical term. The regular proteins that humans and Asari and so on, and Krogans, are all based off of, you know, genetically at a DNA level. So, Turian food is poison to humans, and human food is poison to Turians. So I'm sure in, you know, especially in restaurants, Turians being, you know, so numerous and prevalent in, you know, Citadel space, Citadel society, especially on the Citadel, that will make logistics for restaurants difficult. You'll have to have 2 menus, you know, 2 kitchens, 2 freezers. What is going on here? It feels weird. Like, I'm just having a moment there. When we loaded into the screen, I felt like everything was upside down. So I thought these on the roof here were the chairs. Just because of the distance and the angle we were looking at them from, I thought these were those chairs. And up was down and down was up. And I just got home from work. It's been a long day. I've been looking at lots of small wires. So that was exciting. Alright, so this solar system's been checked. Now we go to this one. Look at all these planets. Nothing there. I can land there. Pre-garden terrestrial world. Sanctuary world. Landing is prohibited. .1 Earth years, that's fine. 1.1 atmospheres. 1.1 G. The day is 44.5 hours long. That's gonna be odd if you ever move there, but life finds a way. Alright, we're still hunting Geth. And I'm still talking about Turians. What a little history on the Turians, eh? I know I already mentioned their society is 15,000 years old. But at least we can put that in context with the rest of the Citadel races. The Turians, like other, sapient spacefaring races, discovered a mass relay in their home system, and they turned it on. They went through the relay. They did stuff. They activated several relays. They explored multiple solar systems. They had several colonies built. Meanwhile, the Asari were already on the Citadel and forming the alliance with the Solarians. So these things were happening in parallel, simultaneously. The Solarians uplifted the Krogan to fight in the Rachni War, and then the Krogan Rebellion started. Come on. Yeah, I can get up that hill. So it was during the Krogan Rebellion when the Turians ran into I'm not sure if they discovered if they found the Solarians or the Asari. I want to say it was the Asari, but I'm digging too deep into my memory there, and I don't want to make promises I can't be sure of. No, I'm not falling down that hole. Back up. Come on. Yeah, the Mako, even in the Legendary Edition, the Mako is still not easy to drive. Fortunately, I fixed the camera sensitivity, look, orientation thing. I talked about that in an earlier episode. And that at least made the Mako usable. Before, it was completely broken. And I don't know how anyone thought that was a good idea. But, I mean, if it works for someone, it must exist for a reason. So, the Turians already, with multiple colonies and, an advanced society, run into the Asari and the Solarians, which are in the middle of dealing with this Krogan Rebellion thing. And they basically get used as shock troopers in the Krogan Rebellion. And they fight a lot of wars. Or, they fight a lot of battles in the war. And Krogans are initially, surprised. Because Turians are very, as I'll get to, Turians are very military-oriented. Everyone between ages of 15 and 30, regardless of gender, is a civil servant of some kind, whether that be in the military or the administration or anything and everything. Pretty much everything, because the military is also everything, but I'll touch that topic later. So initially the Turians have, the element of surprise. They're this new unknown force and they kick butt. They push the Krogan back. But as I touched on in the previous video, Krogan are big, mean, rapidly breeding lizard guys. And they end up using meteors. Or I guess they would be asteroids. But, the Krogan, being as remorseless as they are, just start dropping asteroids on Turian colonies. Or any, Turian installation on a planet. And so that kind of turns things into a stalemate. And as you can imagine, Turians weren't too happy about that. So later, the Solarians create the genophage, which is deployed by the Turians to infect. It's a genetic plague that sterilizes the Krogan, and their rapid birth rate is nullified. And the Krogan can no longer fight this battle of attrition, and the Krogan Rebellion is declared over, even though, you know, there's factions and rebellions for decades. And this action, the Turians using the Solarian weapon to end the Krogan Rebellion, is what earned the Turians their seat on the Citadel Council.
On my way.
Have to park on level terrain first. Turned off the comm transmitter. See what I was saying about, you know, long limbs, skinny limbs, claws, spikes, tall. I think I figured it out. Garrus might be a Turian. Alright. So after, you know, the Turians are inducted into the Citadel Council, they basically serve as the shock troopers, as the army of the Citadel. As I, you know, mentioned earlier and will detail more later, they're very service to the people, you know, sacrificing the individual for the group military, you know, mentality, culture. They would make excellent samurai. I wonder if prehistoric Turians had something similar to samurai, reading each other poetry before stabbing each other. They even use swords. See, and that goes. This is an idea that goes back to when I was talking earlier about the technological development. Because of their natural weapons, you know, they have claws or talons, whatever you want to call it. Would they have engineered swords? I mean, I could see them using spears. A spear gives you significantly more reach to poke holes in your enemy. But a sword typically isn't going to give you much more reach than, you know, a meter, a couple, 3 feet, you know, the length of your arm. Which, if you're athletic, like, and fast, like most Turians, the length of your arm is a small distance to cover in, you know, a lunge or a jump in order to get physical hands on your enemy, instead of a pointy metal spike thing. So, I don't know. Anyway, the Turians become the military arm of the... I mean, it's not an official thing, it just kind of worked out that way. That's what they do. So they're the de facto shock troopers, the military arm of the Citadel Council. And the Asari are the diplomats, and the Solarians are the scientists. And again, you know, like I said with Krogan, being muscle-bound, bullying bad guys, filling a niche in the storytelling. The Turians do this kind of the same thing. You know, like clone troopers in Star Wars. You know, you have Turians in Mass Effect. Like that. Shot him out of the tower from midair. No, I didn't. Must have hit the tower and missed the robot. Did you get them all? Oh, there's more on the map. What's going on? Oh, that's going on. So, the Turians being the militant branch, it was kind of, you know, this brings us to the Relay 314 incident, as the Turians call it. Humans had the misfortune of running into the Turians. The first time they ran into sentient life outside of the Earth solar system. So, to rewind things a little bit, the Turians defeated the Krogan because of the Krogan Rebellion. The Krogan were uplifted by the Solarians to fight the Rachni. The Rachni were a hive-minded insect race. If you've ever watched, What Heresy is That? If you've ever read Super Troopers, not Super Troopers, Starship Troopers. Very different movies between Starship Troopers and Super Troopers. If you've read Starship Troopers, you'll completely understand the scary hive mind insects. So because of that, the council, per council law, it is illegal to turn on and use uncharted Mass Effect relays. Because that's how the Rachni got unleashed. Someone just went through a mass relay not knowing where it went or what it did, and they ran into the Rachni. And then the Rachni realized, there's a whole other galaxy of stuff out there, and they wanted to eat, and repeat. So, humans, being completely unaware of any other sentient life out there, just opened a mass relay and went through it and colonized that solar system. And then they ran into the Turians. Turians, being the procedural, military, stuck-up culture that they are, which I'll talk about, culture more later. Even though this, humans were completely unknown to them and anyone else in the council, they were still breaking council law. So the Turians started shooting. And they captured, by force, they captured this colony and destroyed the ships over this colony, except for one managed to escape. Oh. Speaking of escaping, oh, rockets for the win. I totally jumped over all that acid spit, and that was cool. I have a car tank thing. Special Miles over there. I'm over here. Everything will be fine. Except now it stopped. It went away. I'm afraid. But I didn't kill it. Why did it leave? Why just... Now say there it is. I was just outside of its zone. Look at the bright side. It didn't reset the health. Ah! Dodge, dodge. Tentacles. Ouch. I have a red tire. I have 2 red tires. I have 4 red tires. Whew. Reverse, reverse. We're on fire. Garrus, don't panic. There, I got XP. It's dead. Now, what's the button to fix? Look at the controls. Oh yeah, I can level up too. I forgot about that. Options, controls. Yeah, there's a camera relative steering I was talking about. That's disgusting. Where's the key bindings? Back. Key bindings. There we go. I'm blind. There's a... I forgot about that. I never use it. Switch weapons, quick slots. There we go. Vehicle. R. R is for reloading, not repairing. That's dumb. Alright, I've got 2 points. I'll put them there so that gets us a thing. Whatever that is. Garrus is pretty balanced here, so I'll work on his balance. Ugh. Poor Tully. She hasn't been out in a while. So I've got 24 points. I wonder if she wasn't saying anything. She felt left out. I've got 10 more. Jeez. Alright, that makes everything a little nicer. And I'll save, because Toshimas are scary. Now we can repair. So, before I ran into a Thresher Maw, I was saying the Turians started shooting, even though, you know, they've never spoken to these people. But they were breaking the law. Geth weapons fire. Well, no duh, there's Geth bodies, such as they are. And so, this Turian fleet moves in. They capture this colony by force because, you know, these people are activating relays. And they can't have that. And the one ship escapes. And it comes back to Earth. And it warns the Alliance that, hey, there's big nasty aliens out there. There's terrible spiky monsters. And the Alliance fleet comes back and, surprise, you know, kicks the Turians' butt. Mostly because of the element of surprise. They're roughly equal militarily, but this was before first contact, so we'll give them that benefit of the doubt. And they retake the colony that was basically being held hostage by this Turian force. And so Turians aren't happy about that, you know. They're generally, I'm just going to refer to them as a military. Their society is a military. And they lost. They got defeated. And they're not happy about that. So they're preparing a big fleet to come back and just stomp the humans. And that's when the Asari stepped in, because, you know, they're the diplomats. And the Asari step in and they said, hey, whoa, 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 everybody stop fighting everybody else. And that's how humans met everyone else in the galaxy. By the Turians killing a bunch of them. So the humans call that the First Contact War, the Turians call it the Relay 314 incident. I always thought using the number 314 was kind of odd for that bit of information. Just because 3.14 makes me think of pi and what giant nerds the creators of the game are. Almost lost that one. I was running out of time there. Okay, now we can go to the Geth place. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And, you know, of course, that brings us to where we are now in the Mass Effect universe lore. A handful of years, a couple of decades after the Relay 314 incident, which, relative to us, is supposed to take place in the year 2157. So we've got about 125 years before, you know, your great-grandkids are going to get shot at by Turians. Or something along those lines. Your great-great-grandkids? I don't know, I'm not going to count that many generations. I gotta find this Geth thing. I think it's over here. All the snow is making my... There it is. My budget graphics card doesn't like all the snow. Of course. There's too many things shooting at me. Shields are low. Shields are effectively down. Colossus is dead. Oh look, another dropship. Rocket troopers. Prime. Multiple primes. Sorry, I stopped talking. I'm busy, not dying. Vehicles are hard to drive.
Just one more outpost left.
Alright, that was a little exciting. Guess we'll go back to Normandy. Alright, so I talked a little bit about biology and history. And I've mentioned multiple times and touched on culture. Garrus is a perfectly good example, as we pointed out a few minutes ago. We discovered Garrus as a Turian. You're pointing at me. You're the one knocking stuff off my desk.
Because you're a dork.
No comment.
Mm-hmm.
So, Garrus, as example, has face paint. Or tattoos. I guess they're actually tattoos. Almost all Turians have face tattoos. Like tough guys. And anyone that doesn't have tattoos is generally considered untrustworthy. And they're not always for this reason, but the tattoos started as denoting their colony of origin. You know, when the Turians had, you know, a half dozen or so colonies before they found the Citadel and the Council, and they're just doing their colonizing thing, and they had lots of, you know, interstellar trade and military and a big civil war and lots of different factions going on. And so tattoos, especially facial tattoos, were used to identify their colony of origin. You could tell who's a good guy and who's a bad guy. And, you know, that went on for a very long time and is still existent in their culture at this point in the Mass Effect universe when Shepard and the Reaper War is happening. And any Turian without a bunch of tattoos on their face is untrustworthy scum, because they're not telling you where they're from. So, you know, that means they have something to hide, because they're hiding their origin. As I've said lots of times in this rant, they're primarily a militaristic society, culture, so on. They're not very good entrepreneurs. So the Volus, which are excellent bankers, basically hold them as a client. Like the entire species of Turians are clients to the entire species of Volus. And the Volus are basically financial advisors, because Turians are bad entrepreneurs. They'd make, you know, a great manager or a team lead, but they're not so, they're doers, not so much thinkers. Because, you know, they are men of action, so to speak, or seen that way. This is the general consensus. If I can get up this hill, that'd be great. Oh, look. We know what these spikes mean. Remember when I talked about husks? Alright. Let's save again, because I've been doing some stuff. And it'd be dumb if I died in video and had to start over. So, they're very regimented. They're organized. They're disciplined. They have a powerful work ethic. See, speaking of Garrus's face tattoos, this is a perfect view of that, if he stops looking around and just give us that nice profile back. There you go. See, there you can see all of his face tattoos. They don't have to be blue. Some are white, some are black, some are red. And that's part of the identifying where they're from kind of thing. It's quiet. Too quiet. And, you know, I said they have a militaristic society. It was not an exaggeration. The military is the center of their society. It is an all-encompassing public organization. The military and the government are the same thing. They built the schools, the roads, the hospitals, collect the taxes and whatnot. I don't know if Turians have taxes. elevated.
All targets down.
Are they though, Garrus? So, as I mentioned, everyone is a public servant between ages 15 and 30. Like, you spend that whole part of your life as a public servant. So you're in the military. You're not necessarily a soldier. Some of them could be, sewage workers or dock workers or bridge builders or school teachers. But as I said, the military runs all of that stuff. The military does the school. So the school teacher for the military is in the military, a civil servant. The military police is the police. So you know how, if you have any experience with veterans or military life or live near an army base or anything of that nature, you know that the military police is no joke. They don't mess around. So that'd be kind of rough, having all of the police be military police. People think that the police are oppressive and take advantage of their status and power now. If they were military police, that'd be a whole different story. Let's see, I already mentioned a lot of these other, one-sentence talking points I scribbled down. They are men of action. They set aside personal desires for the good of all. Personal accountability. Personal responsibility is big to them. Thank you for killing that thing, Tully. Durka. Jump over this? No, I can have it. Alright, totally killed something else. There's another one down. There's one more on the map, on the radar. Whatever it is. The motion sensor. It's right here. Oh, you wuss. Put up your shield. Come through it anyway. That's what I thought. Okay.
Think we got it, Commander.
Since I mentioned, everyone is a civil servant of some kind, they have 27 tiers of citizenship. So, basically everyone has a rank. No matter what. I know, rank 1 is like children. I forget what rank 2 is. You get rank 3 while you're in boot camp. You get rank 4 after you've completed boot camp. Get in the Mako. There's the thing, and I need the gun. Crunch. Dodge all the spikes. Oh, I got it stuck. Austin powers the Mako.
Strange. I expected one of these outposts to be the main base of operations for this incursion.
Hold on. This receiver's picking up some kind of transmission. Based on the signal strength, I'd say it's coming from inside this star cluster.
It must be a message from the primary Geth base. We can use the signal to lock onto its location and take them out.
Side quests are never done. Here we go again. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Turn to the Normandy. Yes. So, that's kind of odd. It's certainly different from our culture, or at least any culture that I'm familiar with. Having all of your different citizens so broken down into different categories, classes. Not only do you have, second-class citizens, you have 27th-class citizens, and this explains part of their long, protracted, massive civil war. Before, during their colonization phase, but before they joined the Citadel Council and ran into... I didn't want to go to the moon. I wanted the planet so we can survey it. Oh, I don't have to survey it. Okay, so... this is the place to go. Solcrum. However, their culture, since I'm on that subject, is very different from ours in other ways as well. They have few laws, if that makes sense. They enjoy broad freedoms. For example, drugs are legal. There's no such thing as illegal drugs to a Turian. So long as you can do your job and show up to work and do the thing, nobody cares. Nobody asks questions. But if you have a drug problem and can't do your job or show up late or don't show up at all or can't concentrate or fall asleep at your desk or whatever, they'll have an intervention of sorts. And, if that doesn't work, there are more judicious procedures. I mean, like I said, everything about the Turians is military-ish. It's like those people that are a threat to society, violent criminals, there is no hesitation when they deal with those guys. Like, they're, you stabbed a guy. Boom. Lifetime hard labor for the state. They don't play around. Let's see what else. They kind of make me think of the Roman Empire. With their regimental, uptight, tightly laced boots. This is the way it is, kind of thing. It makes me think of the Romans. Just personal observation, just an idea. To be completely honest, I've just played the game and scrolled the wiki. I haven't read any of the books or graphic novels or canon, fan fiction, any of that stuff. Ow. So I don't know how accurate that Roman observation is. Just a personal opinion. I think, now that I've enlightened all of us, potentially, we can understand Garrus a little bit better as a character. as I mentioned, they're very big on personal responsibility, which Garrus is going to feel personally responsible. He was part of the CSEC investigation, Saren. They're also big on sacrificing the self for the good of the community. So that's why he's willing to throw away his CSEC career. Ooh, that's a rocket. To go chase Saren across the galaxy with you. And he is, concerned about the greater good of the galaxy as a whole. Oh no, they got Tully. Base damage. Thank you, Garrus. These guys are bouncy. Alright, there's one down. Two more. I don't want to get taken out by one hit kill like it happened to me when we were on Vermeer. Alright. That's not a rocket trooper. Alright. Now... let's see if we can knock this guy down. Oh, another level up. How many rockets does he have? There we go. Music. Okay. See if there's anything to salvage up there. So part of this, everyone was in the military. Everyone has issued and followed orders, and they're all strict, stringent. It's part of where this stick up the butt joke comes from. All Turians, they're so tall because they've got the stick up their butt, and that's why they walk so straight and such. And it's just bred into them. It's from centuries of their culture being so military, being organized in a military structure on every and all levels. But at the same time, they'll have, like I mentioned earlier, where they have few laws, they have lots of freedom as individuals. So, especially having hung out with Garrus a lot over all the hours I've put into the games, I feel like Turians would almost have two different personalities. You have an on-duty Turian and an off-duty Turian. And even though they're the same physical body, they could be very different people. Lots of encrypted Geth files. Cool. So, I feel like on an individual basis, let's take Garrus here, for example. Turians would be great friends. And in my opinion, Garrus is one of the greatest characters to have with you across the breadth of the Mass Effect trilogy, the franchise. Because, they're men of action. When things need done, they're right there to do it with you. But when things don't need done and you're off duty, like, those guys know how to party. You know what I'm saying? No, I know I've said it a whole bunch of times with all this military stuff and structure in their life and culture, but I feel like the way and the seriousness, the severity of its influence cannot be adequately stated. Which is because we, not having lived that way, we don't know, we don't understand. For example, when something new happens, and the top brass, the generals, if you want to call them that, the top guys in the military just accept this new thing. And, they issue an order, they make it so. Everyone else under them, in the lower ranks of citizens, because remember they have 27 tiers of citizenship, so all these lower ranks are just going to accept that. They'll be okay with it, because the general said so. And that's how it works. Kind of like, this recent pandemic that we're just lifting all these restrictions from. If, issues, orders were issued, hey, wear a mask, and a lot of people had a problem with that, had a difficult time accepting that. And the Turians wouldn't have that problem because, General said wear a mask, wear a mask. They're good at following orders. Like I said, shock troopers, clone troopers, in that regard. They are still very much, individuals. And while they still have, movies and music and culture and, they're an entire species. They will be just as complex and diverse as you and I and humanity. But they're complex and diverse in different ways. They're less complex than us in, as I mentioned, they're bad entrepreneurs. They're probably not very good actors, for, like, on the big screen. But, so they're less complex than us in that regard. But remember, they've got 27 levels of citizenship, so they're more complex than us in that regard. And in the end, it all kind of balances out, And a sorry capsule. Sure. All right. We'll go back to the Normandy. I'm going to save. We completed a lengthy side quest. My video is a little more than an hour long, which is where these other ones have all been. I've ranted about Turians a bunch. I'm going to call it a night. if you hadn't noticed, this is a Thursday that I'm uploading this video on. Normally I upload videos on Tuesdays. Well, I have a separate video project where I nerd out about old airplanes. So, I uploaded the first video in that 4-part series on Tuesday, and that's why I'm uploading this video on Thursday. And for the duration of this 4-part series where I nerd out about airplanes and engineering, I will post 2 videos a week. One being the airplane video, and the other being your regularly scheduled Mass Effect content. If you'd like to see that, feel free to check it out. Please, leave a like if you've enjoyed my rant about Turians. If you're still here, that's fantastic, and you're a baller. I'll see you guys in the next one.